Hello everyone, Jammy Jet here today. I'm reviewing the new film called Transformers Age of Extinction. I'm sure you've probably heard of it due to the various advertising campaigns that have been going on at the moment. Pretty much you can't watch a YouTube video if you don't have ad blocker without getting a Transformers Age of Extinction TV spot or clip or interview or something like that. So pretty much, I mean, if you haven't heard of this film and you've clicked on this video, I'd be very surprised. Basically, I wanted to do an overview of the film, what I thought. Basically, I'm a Transformers fan. I love the films. I really do like the films overall. I just like it's the thing about the Transformers films is they're always criticised for having a bad plot. Is this film any different? Does it differ from the previous three? Does it have a particularly gripping plot? The plot is definitely gripping, but it isn't without plot holes. There are a lot of times in this film where I thought, well, that sort of goes against something that's happened in the previous film, or that sort of contradicts itself, or why has that happened? There are definitely moments like that in this film. It's a Transformers film. It's going to have moments like that. Michael Bay isn't exactly the most consistent screenwriter. He writes things and probably changes them loads of times before he gets a final verdict or final idea of what he wants the film to be like. But overall, if you're looking for a film with a really solid script, a really good plot, and a really sort of really good acting, you're probably not going to find it here because it's not that type of film. It is an all-in-your-face, explosive, action-packed summer blockbuster, and if you like films like that, and you like especially summer blockbusters involving Transformers or giant killer robots, then you will like this film. This film it delivers what the trailers promise, basically. The plot is very it's very similar to the previous films, although it's got sort of an on-the-run kind of twist. The Transformers are almost like outlaws in this film, which is kind of cool. I liked how they were like fugitives. They were on the run from the humans as well as the human-made Decepticons, which escape. There are a lot of human, because they discover this element, Transformium. I'm not going to try to go into too much detail. If you've seen the trailer, you'll know anyway, so I'm not going to spoil too much for you guys. But the humans get access to the element Transformium, and they've made their own Transformers. They've even made Galvatron, who's in this film. He isn't really in the film. That is, a lot of people have been complaining because he's a tease in the trailer and everything. The main villain of this film is Lockdown, who is neither a Decepticon nor an Autobot. He is sort of just an outlaw, a bounty hunter, as he's been dubbed. He's working for the humans, but he's not really, and he's on his own ish. But he's sort of doing the humans' dirty work, taking out the Autobots. There's some scenes where he does in the trailer where he actually shoots Optimus. He's sort of trying to kill. He's got this really badass ship. It's really cool. We get to see a lot of that. There's a really cool scene where they're on the inside of the ship and they're walking about, and there's some really nice cinematography. I mean, the Transformers films deliver when it comes to cinematography. They look fantastic. Just everything about them. It's got this really sort of futuristic-y feel to it, but it feels like it could happen. It doesn't feel like it's too far away technology-wise, but it still feels enough futuristic to be sort of almost a sci-fi film. It's a really nice sort of atmosphere. The characters in this film are very sort of typical of a Transformers film. We've got the sort of same characters. We've got a bunch of scientists. We don't really have any army characters in this film, which we've had for the last three films. Any sort of like soldiers, military characters. We don't really have any like that in this film, which is probably for the best, because the characters in the previous films, the sort of military involvement was getting a little bit dull and overused, and it's good that they sort of toned that out for this film. This film's more about the Autobots. The Autobots get a lot of screen time in this. It's not just about the humans. Humans have screen time too, and personally, I think the human characters are likable in this film. I think they're probably more likable than the previous films. The cast was probably better, in my opinion. We have people like Mark Wahlberg, of course, as the lead. We had Stanley Tucci and Kelsey Grammer in this film as well. And I must say, Stanley Tucci stole the show for me. I thought he was going to have a really minor role in the film. He turned out to be probably the most likable character for me in the film. I really liked his character. He has sort of a very interesting character arc. He starts like being this sort of menacing scientist who's working for this organisation that's making Decepticons, or investigating and experimenting on Decepticons and making their own Transformers. Working the Transformium, how original. Probably watching Avatar before he made that, getting influence from unobtainium from that. But he sort of starts off quite menacing, and he's quite serious because he has a confrontation with Mark Wahlberg early on in the film when they're breaking into the facility, and he sort of comes across quite menacing, quite like full of himself. He's a billionaire who's like worked his way up from nothing, and he's sort of really proud of himself. And he sort of has this character arc where about halfway through the film he sort of goes, "Well, shit, what am I doing? I need to," he changes his character quite a lot, and he becomes almost like a good guy. if you can go that far. But I'd imagine he'd return for a sequel, which would be good. But he has some of the funniest lines in the film. There are some really laugh out loud moments in this film, and most of them come from his character. I found him really likable. There is a few other characters that I haven't talked about. The daughter didn't really bother me too much. I've had a lot of people complaining her that she's just an object. She's not really like part of the cast. But I thought she was quite good in this. The only problem I had with her is her voice was a little bit squeaky. Like every time she opened her mouth, it was sort of like. It wasn't as bad as Rosie Huntington-Whiteley in the last film, who literally every time she opened her, she was fine acting physically, but as soon as she opened her mouth, her lines were delivered in such a wooden way, it made me want to just slap her. But I don't know. I got like, she felt better. She felt like she was a better actor overall. I thought that she came across a lot better in this than in the previous films or the previous actresses. I don't know if I'd go as far as saying that she was better than Megan Fox, but Megan Fox maybe not as good as Megan Fox was in the first film, because I think she was quite good in the first one. The second one, she definitely wasn't really that great. She was very objectified in that film. She didn't really have a lot to do, but in the first one she did. Let's talk about the Autobots, because a lot of the Autobots don't return in this, and that's something that a lot of people are complaining about. The cast is very much changed. They wanted to establish a new era, as Kelsey Grammer's character says. It's a new era. Age of the Transformers is over, but I don't know. I like the way that we got some new Autobots, and I imagine they'll carry on with the the new trilogy that they're doing. They'll return. We've got a new set. The only two that return is obviously Optimus and Bumblebee. The new ones that we get are actually quite cool. I like. There was one which name I just can't remember. And he was voiced by the guy who played Fred Flintstone in the film. He was in Hangover Part 3. He even had a voicing role in a video game called Rage a couple of years ago. I can't remember his name either, but he was probably the most likable Autobot. He came over really funny. He had some really funny laughs. He's probably the most likable character. And I know a lot of people complaining, "Oh, why does this Transformer have a beard? Why does he have a cigar?" It's character development. It's not there. Well, why would a Transformer have a beer belly or a gut? Just build it smaller or more sort of agile. But it's to be humorous. It's to be funny. It's not to be serious. The film doesn't take itself seriously, and that's what I like about the Transformers films. They're always sort of, just being outright silly, and there are some really serious moments in the film, but there's also some really sort of contrasting funny moments, and it's the fact that the moments feel so misplaced in such a serious environment, and there's an alien invasion happening, and then you just get a random laugh out loud moment from Stanley Tucci's character, or that Transformer, and it feels really sort of funny because it's so out of place in the film. It just feels like they shouldn't be being that silly, but they are. The Decepticons. Obviously, Lockdown isn't a Decepticon. He is just a bounty hunter. He has his own ship. There are a lot of human-made Decepticons that escape. There's even Stinger, who's like Bumblebee's. There's a scene in the film where he's sort of there's an advert playing for Stinger, and it's saying, "Oh, he's better than Bumblebee," and Bumblebee's getting all angry. Yeah, it's quite funny. But overall, he doesn't really get a lot of screen time either. Galvatron. Now, Galvatron doesn't get a lot of screen time at all. Mainly because they're obviously saving him for the sequels. There's a bit where you see him just before the end walking off, and he's obviously escaping, kind of like what happened at the end of the second film, where Megatron and Starscream escape in the end of the Revenge of the Fallen. I imagine they're going to do a similar thing, because they obviously want to set up some sequels. The film does that quite well. It sets up some sequels. It makes you wonder what's going to happen next. Overall, the film is really, really entertaining. It's not the sort of film. The runtime is 2 hours 45. It didn't feel that long for me personally. I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, it could have ended 45 minutes earlier. It could have ended half an hour earlier." The film didn't feel a minute over 2 hours for me. It did when I stood up and my legs were killing me, but while I was sitting there enjoying it, there wasn't a dull moment in the cinema. There wasn't a moment when I didn't have my eyes glued to the screen and I was like, wow, what's going to happen next? I suppose that's the same with most films you watch for the first time, but when you watch a film again, it usually doesn't have that same effect on you. But yeah, I'd really recommend this film to anyone, especially if you're a Transformers or a fan of big blockbusters. If you like Transformers, I'd say this is probably a solid 8 out of 10 for you. If you don't really like Transformers, but you like sort of big explosion, action-packed summer blockbusters, it's probably only a 7. But if you really do like Transformers and you like, you like the style of film, this is very much a very similar style to the previous films. I'd go as far as saying this is probably better than the previous 3. It's got a bigger budget. It's got It feels like it's had a lot more work done on it. The CGI looks top notch again. I really didn't have any problems with that. Just overall, I like the characters, the new ones they added. It's a shame about the Autobots, like replacing a lot of them, or only having a bunch of new ones. Where were they in the previous film? You know, they've just turned up. Have they been created since then? That's never really explained. But you know, it's just one of those things. You know, you just got to sort of ignore to enjoy the film. Overall, I really did enjoy this film. In fact, it's a film that I'd probably want to go and see again. If I'm quite honest, it's a really good film. If you like that sort of thing, you will not be disappointed, that's for sure. I've been Jemmy Jet, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Boop.